Hello, citizens of Bedford. Welcome to Meet the Agenda. I'd like to explain to you basically what happens at a council meeting. First, there's the roll call. Then there's the Pledge of Allegiance. Then there's the adjustments to the agenda. And then after that is consideration of minutes. Consideration of minutes, the minutes either get approved as issued or they get amended at the meeting. Then there's orders of the day. Orders of the day are the actual agenda items for the coming meeting. After that, during the orders of the day, any item that is discussed and that there is a motion made for, the council discusses it, then it comes to the public to discuss it. You can go up to the podium and you are allowed 3 minutes to talk on the agenda item that has been motioned. After that, it goes back to the council and they take whatever action they so desire. Now, after the agenda items are all discussed, there is an item that is public addressing the council. You're allowed 5 minutes per speaker to address the council on any item that you want to talk about. Then there's a city manager report. Then there's other business. There's a council president addressing the council. There's the mayor addressing the council, and then there's adjournment.
Sometimes there might be a presentation, in which case usually a city staff member who is talking about something. So for instance, last meeting, they were talking about an update of the annual goals that had been laid out, and city clerk did a great job of that. You know, there's no public comment on that, and there's no vote on that. And then again, just to reiterate, on items that are being voted on, you have 3 minutes, and then at the end of the meeting, you have 5. At the end of the meeting, you can speak on anything that wasn't on the agenda. And it's important on the specific agenda items to keep your comments to whatever that particular item is. So maybe we can, I'll do a quick review of last week's meeting in the minutes, and then Bobby can take it into some of the items that are being covered this week. Now I have to say before we do that, the audience has probably noticed a couple aesthetic enhancements here on the show. You know, so we got Bob's hat, which is a very fancy hat, fresh from Florida. We've got Bob's tan, which is a very nice tan from Florida. And then we've got the new graphic here of historic Main Street, where somebody told me if you look very closely, you can see Bob actually sitting on the carriage there, riding down Main Street. So these are all big steps in the right direction for Meet the Agenda. Last week, now that we're looking good, it was a pretty light agenda. It was a good meeting. Like I said before, the city clerk stood in for the city manager and did a update of the goals for the year that the city council has set out and sort of how they're doing. She did an awesome job. You can go back and watch that. It's available online. And then there were, 3 items to note. The moving ahead with Graham Street sewer project was approved. Again, that was a bond from that had been approved in the past, where that money and those funds are coming from. There was an approval to modifications to a TIF agreement with one of the developers in the Mill District, which is tied to easements in the parking garage. Easements, being the Riverwalk is a major investment that's happening here, which we think can create a lot of value for the community. And to get down to some of that property, you need to go through private property. So this sort of formalized some of those agreements. And then lastly was we approved the nominations for election clerks, which was a long list of people, and it's great to see so many people getting involved. So, which is ultimately why we're here today.
Absolutely. We want people involved in our city government.
So Bob, you want to jump into the agenda?
Sure. First of all, the first 2 items on the agenda deal with the city council approving the purchase of an excavator and the purchase of a wood chipper. That goes through the council meeting first. I think it probably went through the council meeting the finance committee meeting, which was held last night. So I'm sure they discussed these, and if they've approved them, they will be discussed at the council meeting next Tuesday night.
Correct.
Correct?
Yep.
Okay. And then the next item on the agenda for the next council meeting is for the city council to amend a code of ordinances, chapter 62, which deals with streets, sidewalks, and other public places, displaying merchandise, goods, wares, standards for table and chairs, and the service and consumption of alcoholic beverages, is amended by adding to read as follows, okay? And then they're going to discuss it. Basically, this has to do with what our state senator DeChambeau introduced in the state senate, and it got approved to sell for the non-contiguous spaces of places that sell food and alcohol, to be able to use these non-contiguous spaces more or less like what we are a state that is very well populated in the summertime, and this deals with the use of non-contiguous spaces in those times.
Yeah, and I think Representative Marty Groman also co-sponsored that, so there's a tag team effort in the House and Senate.
It could be, yeah.
And a good example of sort of, the legislators that we have elected working with city officials to move this ahead. And it seems like something that, if you look at a lot of communities where they got a thriving downtown, people like to sit outside, enjoy a wine or a beer with a meal. This also seems to, if it goes through, formalize some of the permitting. It looks like it'd be $1,000 for a permit, if your business is going to be doing this.
Right.
So, it looks like this would be a good step if they get this done for the downtown.
Okay, the next item on the agenda will be to sign a contract with Bailey Sign Incorporated of Westbrook, Maine for the final design, fabrication, installation of wayfinding signage for the Robert G. Dodge Business Park. What this does is kind of standardize the signage in that park.
Correct. And I think it's will be across the different parks with a consistent style of signs. There's some designs if anybody at home wants to look up the meetings.
You're right, business parks,
meetings materials, you can see some of the designs. And one of the focuses, if I understand it strategically, for the city is to look at the different entry points into the city, whether it's 111 or coming from the Saco side, there's those two entrances, and really try to do a good job setting the right tone when somebody's entering Biddeford. And then I think the industrial parks, again, it's about sort of a consistent brand across the board. So the same way your hat looks good, these signs are going to look good.
This is so we won't look like a heyday, or like a circus when you come into town. The signage will be more or less all the same or similar.
And I think a lot of residents, or I hear a lot of residents asking about, hey, what's going on with the industrial parks? We talk a lot about downtown. This is an investment in the industrial parks.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
it's good.
Okay, another one here has to do with signage also, and it's has to do with City Hall reorganization and the Trade Center, entering into a contract with the Trade Center to provide signs for City Hall.
And there's a lot of plans. We actually didn't print them here today, but there's
Right.
a lot of plans behind this that if you want to see in detail what's going on with the City Hall redesign. I've been talking about it for a long time. Now they're sort of forging ahead. I think some of it is still up for discussion here, which they'll probably discuss in the meeting, but sounds like a couple, will help make things more efficient. It sounds like it'll open up a retail space where the codes office is now. which the city will actually be able to lease out and make some revenue. So there's a good amount here. It looks like the total budget for this project is about just under $38,000.
Yeah, and it not only deals in signs, it deals in security cameras, network, phone and copier drops, moving costs, carpeting, and contingency. So
It's actually a pretty extensive redesign of things.
right.
It sounds like a lot of work has gone into this, and hopefully it's going to help the staff be more efficient and more comfortable, and also open up that retail space. So,
And there's one more item, which just says approval asset forfeiture funds, police department contribution to a criminal case, asset forfeiture, police department criminal case document, which will be explained at the meeting.
yep. And then, recapping, once those are done, of course, on every single one of those, there'll be opportunity. You'll hear the mayor say, before it goes to a vote, or in cases where, for whatever reason, the city council president is leading a meeting, you'll hear him say, let's first go to the public. That is your cue if you want to talk on these items.
On the particular item,
You can
one
do so.
particular item at a time for 3 minutes.
And then when these are done, after that last, the item, the 5F, you'll then go to public addressing the council, which is anybody can speak for 5 minutes. And we encourage people to use that. That's a great venue where you have the opportunity to speak directly to councilors.
You know, the reason for this program, that Matt and I started this program, is we want to incite people to get involved in the city government. And the city council wants more people involved in city government. It is very discouraging to them to come to a council meeting and there are 2 people sitting in the audience, I mean, aren't we more interested than that in what our city is doing and how we can improve our city? It's for us to participate
I
in
keep
the
thinking
government.
about a few weeks ago, there was a meeting, I think you were there as well, and there was a lot of folks in the audience. They were there for a particular subject, but there was really good debate on both sides from the public, and that was awesome. And then there was really good debate, I think, as a result, between the councilors.
That's true.
And to me, that's when we're at our best. When people are participating and all the voices are heard, and I think everybody wants to move the city in the right direction. It's just a matter of getting involved. And I know it can be intimidating when you first try to go to a first meeting you've never been, but it's a very easy thing to do, welcoming thing to do.
It is.
A couple other things to update on. One is obviously the parking management plan discussions is a big discussion in the community. The city's done a great job setting up these listening sessions. There's been 3 of them. The last one was
Public
yesterday.
sessions, yeah.
A number of people took advantage of that. I'll say another great opportunity you can still take up is on the city website. You can go and there's a paragraph about parking. You click through, and there's a specific form that if you fill out about parking, you indicate I'm a registered voter, or I'm a business owner, you fill out all this information. It actually gets sent to all of the city officials, and they are. I know they're reviewing every single one.
That's if you have a suggestion on the parking, how it should be set up, yes.
So this is a great way, if for whatever reason you can't make it to a meeting, or you don't feel comfortable going to a meeting for whatever reason, this is really, really awesome opportunity to get your feedback in, and the city has done a really good job, in my opinion, of laying out exactly how they're going to use this information, so it's not wasted effort.
And once again, in case you were not, you didn't watch the meeting in which we said, the city has definitely acknowledged that there will be no paid parking on city streets, period. So for somebody to come to the council and say, well, we don't think you should have paid parking in the streets, that's already been determined. There won't be any.
Correct. So last thing, wrapping up. There's a couple other meetings in case anyone is interested. This upcoming week on Wednesday, April 18th. Goodness, I can't believe we're already April 18th.
Oh yeah, time's flying by.
Is the planning board meeting. You'll be able to see that agenda. It's not on there yet, but it should be on there soon. Again, if you have an interest of new developments and agreements going on, that there's usually a lot of debate and discussion at those meetings, and that's you can watch that online or you can attend. And then next week there's also the next budget committee meeting, Thursday the 19th at 5:30, and the budget committee is getting pretty far along now in the process of reviewing recommendations from the city manager and then starting to have some discussion about it. And probably will start having public hearings soon. They're not scheduled yet around the budget process, which is another really important. I had a counselor telling me a couple of weeks ago that years ago, tons and tons of people would show up to the public hearings, and in recent years, you really don't get as much participation. But this is an opportunity to stand there in front of the counselors and tell them why you believe we need to invest more in something, or why you believe we need to focus on taking down taxes.
Just remember something: your little chat sessions, with your friends or with your breakfast mates or whatever, or dinner mates or lunch mates, that doesn't get listened to by the council. So if you have something that you really believe in, show up at the council meeting. Show up at these hearings they're going to have on the budget and state your views. Don't do it behind the scenes, because that doesn't do any good to anybody.
And having been at some and spoke at recent meetings in the last few weeks, the councilors are listening, and there's a lot of big decisions going on right now with the parking stuff. This has major impact, hopefully overwhelmingly positive, but major impact on this community. But then the budget discussions are major as well. There's some key issues coming up. So one is EMT response times. Right now, we're lagging in some degree, but then we're also trying to balance costs. And there's a lot of trade-offs. So that is something that if you have an opinion one way or the other, it's really important to get involved. So we hope people do.
The other thing is, at the June primaries, we're also going to be voting on the school budget.
Correct.
So don't wait for that. Go to the school budget meetings and state your opinions there, so that hopefully changes might be able to be incurred into the budget, so that when you go vote, you can vote, for what you wanted.
Great point. So I think that's all I got on my side.
That's all I got too.
So we hope you enjoyed Bob's new hat and his tan and the new graphic and all the information we presented today. And what we really hope for is that we see you at a meeting sometime soon.
Also, we do not want to leave our French citizens out of the picture. Je comprends qu'il y en a beaucoup de vous qui comprennent le français. Et puis, on parle le français un petit peu, mais on sait aussi que vous comprenez l'anglais. Si vous ne le parlez pas, vous le comprenez la plupart du temps. Alors, écoutez cette émission et faites vos demandes connues. Excusez pour ce boulot en anglais. That's it.
That's it.